What's up, guys? We're back. This week it's for a pretty good card. I mean, it's 14 fights. It's UFC on ABC 2, UFC Vegas 23, Marvin Vettori versus Kevin Holland. So the main event, pretty interesting. It's a short notice fight. But before we get started on this one, I do want to say, thanks so much for everyone that supports the channel. I want to try to, get at least 300 likes for this video. So make sure to, click that like button. It really helps a lot. And, I really appreciate all the support. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe. I'm going to be bringing you guys, a lot of UFC content coming up. There's a bunch of fight cards in a row. And, just another update in terms of Patreon. I really appreciate everyone that supports me over there. Tomorrow there's going to be a full card breakdown being put over there for the Bellator card. And I will have a couple bets posted for the Bellator card as well. So if you're interested in that, make sure to get to the Patreon, check it out. It will be in the description in the comments. And I will have that video tomorrow, the Bellator card video. But other than that, let's get into the card. This is going to be the first fight of the night. Impa Kasanganay making his return, taking on Sasha Paletnikov. And Impa is back. He's, was part of one of the most viral moments in MMA history. But unfortunately for him, he was kind of on the bad end of that equation. He got highlight reel KO'd by Joaquin Buckley. He's still only 27 years old, though, so he can definitely bounce back from that. He only has 9 fights in his career. And he's moving down to welterweight for this fight, so if he can make it safely, he is going to be a big guy for the division. But he's going to be taking on a guy who made a splash in his debut in Sasha Paletnikov. And Sasha, he cast as one of the bigger underdogs of 2020. He finished Lois Kosi in it was a back-and-forth fight. He is a super experienced fighter. Or not a super experienced fighter in terms of MMA, but I'm trying to say, in terms of, in comparison to Impa Kasanganay, I mean, he has a lot of, fighting experience. He's fought 5 rounds. He's fought in a lot of different countries. And he's 32 years old, so he's someone that, is probably, the best he's going to be. He's in the prime of his career. He's still improving, though, because he's, came to the United States. He's at a better fight camp now and, is taking his career more seriously. He, doesn't have a full-time job, outside of the cage. So I feel like, his best performances are ahead of him, and he definitely showed that in the fight with Kosi. But with this fight with Impa Kasanganay, I mean, it's going to be an interesting clash of styles. Impa is a pretty big favorite. I don't necessarily agree with that, to be honest with you. I mean, the guy is coming off a very brutal knockout loss. And yes, I mean, he is a guy that is pretty skilled. He's athletic. If he can make the weight class, he's going to have a big build for it. And in this fight, I mean, I think he's going to want to try to use low kicks, maybe try to chop the leg of Paletnikov. Try to have that high guard, forward pressure, get in the clinch, try to maybe drain Sasha a little bit. If he can get on top, I think that's where he's going to have his most success, because Paletnikov, that's where he's weakest, is on his back. He can sometimes make hasty decisions, try to get back up to his feet, and Impa could maybe take advantage of that, get into dominant positions, use his size, get some nice ground and pound off. I don't really see him as a big submission threat overall, but, for Sasha Paletnikov, he's going to have the better striking for sure. I mean, he's going to have a little bit of a height advantage as well, a couple inches. And I feel like, in terms of the striking, he's going to have a big advantage. I mean, Paletnikov is kind of like a herky-jerky striker. He tries to lull you in with a lot of fakes, a lot of feints, pulls you into his shots. And he has a real snappy jab, good 1-2, good shot selection. And he showed a lot of variation in his game in the fight with Lois Kosi. I mean, he was able to endure a lot of adversity early on where he got clipped, it was kind of a bad decision fight IQ-wise with Sasha, where he went for that roll and kind of got hit. I do think it was a little bit to the back of the head, so could have been a little bit illegal there, but he almost got finished with those strikes, then got dropped again a little bit later in the round, but showed the ability to recompose, and then he was able to win in the clinch. I mean, had some nasty elbows, nasty knees to the body. He was able to, deny the takedowns and keep it on the feet as well. And he also had a great cardio and output, man, and he was willing to brawl a little bit, but he was doing it in a technical way. I do feel like in this fight with Impa, he should maybe, try to do a little bit less brawling. In terms of kind of how I see this fight going, I think that, early on, Impa is going to be, like I said, you don't want to brawl with the guy. He's going to have power. He's going to be coming down to weight class. But, Sasha's a big guy as well. He's fought at 185. And I think that, he's going to be able to take the shots. It's just he has to move around early on, try to pick his shots, counter, look to catch Impa coming in, because Impa is still green. I mean, he doesn't use a lot of feints, a lot of fakes. He just comes in a little bit plotting and, isn't really, a difficult look. Like, he's not going to give you a lot to think about, really. I think a big thing for Sasha, and he did in his fight with Lewis, is to go to the body, try to slow down Kasangane, make the, fight a little bit slower paced. Even though I think he needs to keep the volume high, just in terms of making Impa less willing to be on the front foot and walk him down so much. But I think, he's just going to be able to, I don't know. I think he's going to be able to control the range, pick his shots well. If they brawl, I think he's going to have the better punches landed in the flurries. And I do think that he has some big power himself, man. I mean, he has some big power. So if Sasha can land clean, Impa just did get knocked out really badly. I mean, that was a brutal knockout. So who knows how his chin is going to hold up in this one. But, I mean, I'm going to take Sasha Paletnikov to win via decision. I don't think it's going to be a finish. I think it's going to be a hard-fought 15 minutes. I think it's going to be a competitive fight, but I just think Paletnikov is going to be the better striker. I think that in the clinch, he's going to have the better clinch offense, be able to disengage, and I think he's going to be able to keep the fight on the feet. Even if Impa does get a takedown, I think that, I don't know if he could do it for 2 of the 3 rounds. So give me Sasha Paletnikov to get the win here. I think he's going to be able to do enough to get it done, and I think it's going to be a fun fight to kick off the card. In the second fight of the night here, we got Dong Jung taking on William Knight. And Dong Jung, he's done well. He's gone unbeaten in his first 3 UFC fights. Never lost at light heavyweight. So he's one of the better Korean prospects in the UFC. His last fight, he didn't quite get the win, though. It did go to a draw. He is a solid boxer, and he has a good reach, 5-inch reach advantage in this fight. And he uses it pretty well. I mean, I will say he has one of the better jabs in the division, super active with it. He sets up almost all of his combinations behind the jab. Jab straights, jab overhand rights, jab right hooks. He'll rip the body as well with jabs and straights, 1-2s. Good job of staying in opponents' faces. And he throws sharp punches, nice counters. You can drop nice straight overhand rights in there. He doesn't really have a lot of fat on his punches. In his last fight, he did land some nice elbows as well, some short elbows that really hurt Sam Alvey. He's loose. I mean, he usually doesn't throw with power, throws with more volume, speed, accuracy, tries to, throw, 2-3 shot combinations. But when he does sit down on that right hand, it does look like he can knock you out. I mean, he had that nasty knockout over Mike Rodriguez. He was able to drop Sam Alvey with that right elbow, and he did do a good job of landing knees to the stomach against Kadis Ibragimov when Ibragimov was using a high guard. But overall, I mean, he's pretty one-dimensional. He just boxes, doesn't throw many kicks. In his last fight, I will give him some credit. He must have did some studying on Alvey because, he did mix in some low kicks, front kicks up the middle. Obviously, Alvey has struggled with kicks throughout his career. Ultimately, though, he's still predominantly a boxer, and he's a bit tricky because he will switch stances. Even though he only really throws punches, he doesn't use a high guard or a boxing stance. He has a wide stance, hands low, bouncing in and out, and it's hard to see when he's going to throw the jab. It makes him easier to land counters and find that kill shot as well for him. And he doesn't really move his head, though. Sometimes he can be a little bit slow, deliberate on the inside, just kind of look for that one shot. And fighters can bomb on him, and he will try to feint, line up his right hand. But if you can get off first with a big combo, you can land. I mean, Sam Alvey landed several left hands, several right hooks, and he had Jung hurt on multiple occasions. Jung does have good durability, though. He, has never been finished, and 10 of his 13 wins are by knockout. So definitely, usually when he gets the victory, he's taking you out. He doesn't really have a lot of grappling footage out there. He's definitely a kickboxer. It doesn't look like he looks to grapple offensively. In this fight, he's obviously going to probably have to deal with the heavy dose of wrestling against William Knight. And Jung's fight with Sasha Milinkovic, he did get a takedown, or did get taken down a couple of times, and his takedown defense seemed a bit subpar. He did do a good job working his way back up to his feet, and he looked hard to control. He is a big, strong guy for the division. He likes to use that switch, and he was able to hit that switch on Milinkovic and finish the fight on top with elbows. So when he can get on top, he does have aggressive ground and pound, will look to close the show. He was taken down by Makdessi a couple times as well, controlled against the cage in the second round of their fight, taken down in the third round, and never really accepted bottom position though, which was good to see. He eventually did find his standing submission, and he threatened with the Kimura in the second round, which he lost position for, but, he was eventually able to get that standing guillotine in the third. His grappling, his wrestling defense doesn't really look very good to me though. He more capitalized on an extremely fatigued opponent in that Ibragimov fight. It was only the second submission of his career, but he does have good composure, good cardio, and he was able to finish Ibragimov late, dominated the third round against Sam Alvey, so has a tendency to, have good third rounds. William Knight, this is going to be his third fight in 3 months, and, he's had not his third fight in 3 months, his third scheduled fight. He had 2 scheduled bouts with Alonzo Menafield that both got canceled, and, the first time Menafield was positive for COVID, the second time Knight was, so pretty unfortunate there, but hopefully the third time's the charm. Knight can get in the octagon, compete here. He's also undefeated at 205. He's not a technical striker, but incredibly explosive, powerful, quick, good kicks. Throw some heavy low kicks, nice body kicks. He'll even use some jump kicks to close the distance, but doesn't really have great hands. I mean, he will throw the jab overhand right. His overhand right has big power, and he does have some fast hands. He'll flurry with big hooks on the inside, but he pulls back with his chin straight in the air a lot. And he does a good job of level changing when opponents try to close the distance and clinching them up. But, eventually an opponent's going to be able to counter that with the knee, with an uppercut. He does seem like a durable fighter. He's only been finished once by strikes, and even that was a little bit controversial. And he has 8 knockouts in his 9 wins. Most of those are via ground and pound, but definitely, if he can land flush on you, you're probably going to go to sleep. He's a very good grappler. He's a former high school state wrestling champion. He's incredibly strong, good control against the cage, good trips, good double legs, good singles from there, kind of unorthodox takedowns. But when he can get on top, he has good control, big ground and pound, and I'm sure he feels like a boulder on top of you. He has pretty solid jiu-jitsu. You'll float on top. He passes pretty fluidly. He likes to get to side control, use that crucifix position. He'll take the back, flatten guys out. He does look for rear naked chokes, arm triangles. He puts himself in terrible positions on the ground, though, sometimes. His takedown defense looks a little bit suspect, but he can just explode. Use his power to get out, kind of has that Derek Lewis thing going on. And, against the cage, against Cody Brundage, though, he did defend the takedown pretty well, use some elbows that brutally ended the fight. The elbows to the side of the head when Brundage was in on the legs. And you'll sometimes just make mistakes, though, trying to muscle takedowns, like pool fighters on top of him. And that's what happened in his fight against Tafon and Chukwi. And, he got finished because of that. Sometimes Knight will also attack guillotine instead of defending the takedown. But he's a good scrambler, like I said, hard to control. Rocky Edwards had William Knight's back with both hooks in, and Knight was totally flattened out, but he was able to control Edwards' arm. Edwards couldn't get his arm free to throw ground and pound to really attack a submission. He did the same thing against Cody Brundage, and Herb Dean almost stood the fight up. So, he tends to give his back in almost every fight, but just finds a way to nullify that position or scramble out of it. Great cardio. He can grind out wins. He proved that against Alexa K. Moore. And he might have an ugly style of fighting, but that's kind of what you need to beat down Jung. Knight needs to be aggressive, get inside, use his strength, his wrestling, outwork Jung. He's going to be the faster, more explosive fighter. He needs to set up his takedowns with punches. If he can let his hands go, I think he can hurt Jung as well. If he stays on the outside, he could get hit with the big elbow or cross, could get put out for sure. I think if Knight gets on the inside, though, he's going to be able to have success controlling against the cage, hitting takedowns, landing some shots in the dirty boxing range. And I do think he could even have some success at range with combinations if he can get off first. And he has the cardio to do it for 3 rounds. I could see him doing some damage finishing the fight. I think he's going to win this fight just by being faster, more explosive, being able to close that gap, make it a grappling match, and making it more his style of fight. So I'm going to go with William Knight in this one, and I think he's going to be able to get it done here. In this next fight, we got Luis Saldana taking on Jordan Griffin, and Luis Saldana is another one of these Contender Series prospects. He did get a nice knockout over Vince Murdoch. He's on a 4-fight win streak, all finishes, and he's a veteran at this point. He's 30 years old. He's had over 20 fights, and he does have a kind of sketchy resume, though. In his 14 victories, he has no real marquee win. Also has a lot of questionable losses. But he's a finisher. He's finished all of his wins. He's a very slick striker. He's long. He's rangy. He switches stances. Kind of plays with his hands low, so sometimes he can get hit, but very good at controlling the range. Really nasty straight right hand, and he likes to line fighters up with that straight right, follow it with kicks. He has a nice check left hook going backwards, and he almost always brings that straight right hand behind it, so definitely a very, very educated striker. He has power, he has quick hands, he has really good counters. His kicks are probably the best part of his stand-up. He has real heavy low kicks, real nasty round kicks, front kicks to the body, spinning back kicks, spinning kicks to the head. He has nice question mark kicks. I mean, he has a lot of kicks in his arsenal. He can kick with both legs pretty fluidly. He landed a beautiful front kick to the face that put Vince Murdoch down, finished him with ground and pound, and he's good at controlling the range. If opponents can get inside, that's where they do have success. I mean, his boxing in the pocket is not that great. He's been taken down in the past. He, recently has looked tremendous on the feet, though, I will say that. 3 knockouts in his last 4 wins and 7 overall in his career. He has been stopped once by strikes, and he's struggled with grapplers. I mean, he's been submitted twice. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any of his losses online, and his grappling to me is kind of a bit of an unknown because not a lot of fights or footage that I could see on it. He did show some grappling his match against Carl Witzok. I mean, his takedown defense looked not really that good, but he was able to reverse position, get on top. He had a switch. He took the back. He showed good top control, ground and pound, and he looked strong in half guard. He was looking for the arm triangle. He was hunting for the rear naked choke when he took the back. He's kind of wiry, strong. It looks like, being at fight ready with Henry Cejudo and some other wrestlers, he could have, maybe gotten a little bit better. I do feel like he's still a little bit suspect in that area. I've kind of, am a little bit worried if Jordan Griffin can put him on his back. Jordan Griffin is a submission guy. But in a high-paced fight, I do think Saldana could slow down as well. He's never won a decision, 0-3 in decisions. His cardio looks good in the fights that I've seen, or a lot of them, but he doesn't really face a lot of adversity. He's getting a lot of early finishes. In this fight with Jordan Griffin, I mean, it's probably going to be a tough fight. Jordan Griffin, he's not fared well so far in his UFC career. I mean, he's had to fight a lot of killers, though, and just came up a little short. I mean, he had close fights with Yusuff Zalal, Dan Ige, Chas Skelly, but just has not been able to get a decision win in the UFC. His one win was that guillotine finish over TJ Brown. And even in that fight, he was kind of getting dominated a little bit. And when I look at this fight, I just feel like Jordan Griffin, he has some weapons that he could go to. I feel like it's a similar matchup to the fight that he had against Yusuff Zalal, where I think he needs to use his grappling a little bit more, which isn't the best matchup for a guy like Jordan Griffin, because Griffin, he does have most of his wins via submission, but not really a wrestler. He's a guy that likes to strike, pressure, close that distance, make you want to take him down, and when you do take him down, he'll catch a submission. And, he's very good at getting sweeps. When he can get on top, he is dangerous, so that's something that you do have to look out for in this fight. He was able to get a couple takedowns on Yusuff Zalal, so, I mean, if he can get Saldana to the mat, he's going to be in business, and he's going to have a chance to get the finish or the win. But, on the feet, I do think Saldana is going to have a big edge. Griffin, he is explosive. He'll close the gap with some nice crosses. He throws a, 1-2 head kick, 1-2 body kick, and, he will throw some nice flurries on the inside. Definitely is durable. He's willing to throw down. He is called the native cycle for a reason, and, if you brawl with him, he could potentially get the better end on that. But, if Saldana uses his range and just kind of uses his striking acumen, his fakes, his feints, his kicks, just his footwork, his straight punches, I think he's going to be technically a lot better on the feet. And he's just going to have to worry about Jordan Griffin closing that distance and hitting the takedown. But to me, I mean, that's not really Jordan Griffin's game. He's not a wrestler. He did get very tired in that fight with Yusuff Zalal chasing the takedown. Didn't really have a lot of success even when he did get the takedown of controlling the fight. They were able to, or Zalal was able to pop up to his feet really quickly. So I feel like, it's going to be tough for Jordan Griffin to get the takedown in this fight, cement position. So I'm going to go with Luis Saldana to get the victory. I think he's going to be able to grind it out. I think this one he's going to have to maybe finally win his first decision. But I think he has, enough in the tank to do it. he's with a good camp, like I said, fight ready. He, has to be improving. He's a veteran at this point, like I said, as well. So I expect him to be ready to go in his debut, and I'm going to take Saldana here. We have a real good fight in this next one with Jack Shore taking on Hunter Azure. I think this is great matchmaking, and it's the best Welsh prospect in the world, most likely, Jack Shore. He's making his return to center stage. He's 25-0 so far in his career, amateur and pro. So he's putting that win streak on the line once again here as he takes on Hunter Azure. And, 13-0 as a pro, 12-0 as an amateur, 2-0 in the UFC. So, been nothing short of phenomenal. He's ran through most of his pro opponents. He's finished 11 of his 12 wins. But Hunter Azure is definitely a step up in competition. So we're going to see how he fares here. Jack Shore, he's a good enough boxer. He has a nice jab. He has a solid 1-2. He will throw some jab overhand right, some jab right hooks. He has some decent kicks as well. Nice low kicks, heavy round kicks to the body. He likes to use those lead leg attacks like oblique kicks. He'll throw some lead leg high kicks. He has good forward pressure, and he uses good feints. He fakes level changes. Obviously, he's a great grappler, so fighters have to respect that. And not necessarily a dangerous striker because he isn't the best athlete. He doesn't really throw with big power. But his objective on the feet is to keep opponents honest, pressure them, eventually take them down. But he is heavy on his lead leg. He doesn't really check kicks. He's also a little bit hittable in boxing range. And, in exchanges, I think he's a little bit hittable as well. So, at range, in exchanges, I think, he needs to limit that. He needs to kind of pot shot, move, hit his takedowns to be effective in his fights. He can be a little bit flat-footed, and he's durable, obviously, defensively sound enough. And I do think his stand-up needs to improve, though, as he moves up in the rankings. He has 4 knockouts. Most of those are via ground and pound. I think maybe all of them, actually. But his grappling is his bread and butter. He's a solid wrestler. He has a crushing top game. He doesn't have great takedowns in the open map, but he's good at finishing when he can get fighters to the fence. And he'll level change, look to hit singles and doubles. And he's good at if they get stuffed, he can drive opponents to the cage and then work from there. Chain wrestle. He's pretty relentless. He has real good trips in the clinch. And on top, he's very, very good. He's a great back taker. Good job staying busy with ground and pound. And when he finds his way to the back, he's very patient, deliberate. Usually finds that rear naked choke. He has 7 rear naked choke wins. And overall, he has 8 submission victories. He, has finished 11 of his 12 of his 13 wins. And he's recently, cooked his opponent, shown a good gas tank. He has 5-round experience. He has gotten some late round finishes and good fight IQ. He's a good prospect. And the only knock on him, I would say, is, isn't the greatest athlete or the best striker. So those are what he needs to work on a little bit. I think that, he could also, get a strength and conditioning program, and that could help him out a lot as well. But he's going to be taking on, a thick, solid guy in Hunter Azure, who's also a good prospect who bounced back from his first career loss, defeating Cole Smith last September. He's 2-1 in the UFC. He's definitely seen the higher level of opposition, in my opinion. I mean, you look at a guy that's fought Cole Smith, who has a win over Miles Johns, who fought Brian Kelleher, who, everyone knows is a very tough veteran, who fought Brad Katona, Brad Katona, he did get a couple losses in the UFC, get bounced. I mean, obviously Hunter Azure was his last UFC fight, but, he did recently get a victory in Brave, and that guy has wins over Kyler Phillips and wins over Bryce Mitchell, so that's a pretty legit win in my eyes as well. And Hunter Azure, just like Luis Saldana, is another one of these guys that's coming out of Fight Ready. Fight Ready has a lot of great training partners for these lower weight classes. And Hunter Azure, I would say, is average striker in his own right. He's a powerful guy for 135 pounds and definitely is the power edge in this fight. He's super aggressive. He throws heat. He's always looking for that overhand right. He likes to throw the jab to overhand right combination a lot. He likes to wane in with that left hook right hand combo. He does a good job varying up the target. He will attack the body, come up to the head, and he will take, the body shots and then, kind of lull you into thinking they're going to come, throw uppercuts. He doesn't really have technical boxing. He wings almost everything. He's also a little bit stiff. He's had a lot of knee injuries. He loads up on a lot of his punches, but when he can close the distance to connect, I mean, he could hurt you badly. He could put you out. He has real nasty calf kicks as well, and he throws them early and often. I've seen him hurt fighters with body kicks, with the calf kicks. He has 3 finish wins due to strikes, and he can be countered as he's trying to close the distance, or sometimes he can load up. Brian Keller started to find his range on the straight right hand left hook combination and eventually landed that brutal left hook that put Azure out cold. And Keller is a veteran. He has power. I don't think he's going to have to worry about getting one-shotted against a guy like Jack Shore. But Hunter is always a great grappler as well. He's a Montana high school wrestling champion. He wrestled in college. Very physical for the division. And I think he's going to have a strength edge here when these two guys clinch up. He can bully fighters against the fence in the clinch. He has decent takedowns off the cage. He has solid level changes, takedowns in the open mat. And once he gets it to the mat, he isn't super dangerous, but he could scramble. He has good control, good job staying connected. Even fighters work back to their knees or their feet, kind of hanging on him, jumping on the back. And he likes to take the back himself, but isn't as dangerous there as Jack Shore. Azure is great takedown defense and get-ups, though. He's extremely hard to take down, especially against the cage. Fighters do take him down. He does an excellent job of quickly working back to his feet. He does give his back to stand up, and he has had his back taken in 2 of his 3 UFC fights, and that's something that's you have to look at when you're fighting a guy in Jack Shore. But, he's shown great ability to scramble out of the position, end up on top. I've never seen a fight where Hunter Azure was in a bad position on the mat for very long, and Azure has decent cardio. He pushes a high pace, and that's why he kind of tends to slow down in the 3rd round. But, if he can control his output early, could serve energy for the 3rd, I think he's going to be a guy that can have good cardio and can kind of, wear on guys and, look like the guy with the good cardio. So as he gets more experienced, I think that he's going to start to, be able to find his pacing a little bit better. And I'm actually going to go with the upset pick here. Pick Hunter Azure. Jack Shore, he's a great prospect. He's an undefeated amateur pro. And, I've been making money on the guy. I bet on him in his first 2 UFC fights. When I look at this matchup, though, I really think it's a solid fight for both guys. Hunter Azure, to me, is the better wrestler, the better striker. Shore is the more technical striker, and he may give Azure some issues with his jabs and his feints, but I don't think it's going to be enough to offset the big explosive moments and the heavier punches of Azure. I also see Azure beating up Jack Shore's lead leg. As far as the grappling goes, both guys are very, very good grapplers. I think Azure is the physically bigger fighter. He's stronger. I think he's the better wrestler. I have seen fighters like Scott Malone, Mike Ndeu control Shore against the cage, take Shore down. Neither man could really control Shore. Shore's really good in the scrambles, really good butterfly guard, real good sweeps, really good stand-ups. And I feel like he's been fighting a lot of one-dimensional guys, though, lately. Jack Shore, that is. Mike and Ndeu, Scott Malone, pure grapplers. They had success taking Shore down, but couldn't really strike. And when Shore got back up to his feet, he was able to outstrike them. And when he got on top, he did more damage than they could, ended the show. So he is a dangerous grappler. He's going to be the more dangerous guy. If he gets on top of Hunter Azure, he could get the finish. In his 2 UFC fights, though, against Aaron Phillips and Noelin Hernandez, both those guys are pure strikers. Now Shore, he's taking on a guy who can match him in both facets of the game, and to me is the more powerful and better athlete. I think Azure can beat him everywhere. He just has to conserve energy. If he wins the first 2 rounds, ends up on his back in the 3rd, be calm, ride it out. I know most people are all over Shore here. I'm not super confident in either fighter, but I just feel like Hunter Azure is, progressed a little bit further. He's going to be the guy that's a little bit physically better, and I think that he's going to be able to keep it on the feet and do a little bit more damage and do the better job. So I'm going to take Hunter Azure. And up next here, we got a kind of a crazy fight. We got Yorgan Castro taking on the returning Jarjis Danho. And Yorgan, he's in desperate need of a win. He has back-to-back losses. They haven't been good performances either. And he hasn't been finished, but just slowed way down after the first round, kind of gave up a little bit. And Jarjis Danho, he's making his comeback after nearly 5 years away from the cage. So even right there, that's a red flag. He hasn't fought since October of 2016. And even when he did fight in the UFC, he still never got a win. He's 0-1-1. He's coming off a draw with Christian Colombo. He's 6-1-2, so he isn't a very experienced guy either way. And even in his other fight, he has 2 very odd fights in the UFC. He has a draw, and his other fight with Daniel Malachek, he, I believe, that he got nut-shotted and the fight ended. It was over because of that, and it went to decision, and he, I think, had a technical decision loss, something like that. But, that was a little bit of a weird fight. He didn't have great heart in that one, but he's a huge guy. They don't call him the Mountain for nothing, and On the feet, I mean, he moves well for his size and likes to line opponents up for that straight right hand. He has decent footwork, but his offense is really all that right hand. He has a good 1-2. He'll look for the straight overhand right, some right uppercuts, and I mean, that's about it. I mean, he slows down majorly after the first round. He's super labored. He becomes hittable. He ducks his head and gets hit with a lot of knees. I mean, he gasses very badly, like he said. He's going to need to use grappling in this fight. I mean, he likes to hold guys against the clinch, use his size. He'll flurry to push his opponents back to the cage and kind of, drive them there, use dirty boxing. And, he doesn't really have great wrestling. I mean, he will chain wrestle against the cage. He did catch a kick against Christian Colombo and got him down that way. But, didn't have any control on the mat. Doesn't seem like a good wrestler. And I don't really feel like he's going to have a lot of success taking down a guy like Yorgan and Castro. For Yorgan, I mean, he obviously has those real heavy low kicks. He's going to be the faster, more explosive guy. He's a good mover. He has big power, and he can kind of pull guys into punches. Decent striker. So he's going to have the advantage there. It's just, recently his last 2 fights, he's gotten tired and allowed guys to hold him against the cage for the last 2 rounds of the fight. And, if he allows Danho to do that, then, it's going to be a terrible fight. But to me, I'm going to give Yorgan to Castro one more chance. To me, I really could almost... I don't want to say I could care less about the fight. It's going to be a good fight. They're both good fighters. But, yeah, I think that I'm going to go with Yorgan to get the victory by knockout. I think he could get the victory by decision as well. Danho is very durable. But I'm just going to say he's able to, maybe hurt him with the low kicks, land some nice punches. Danho might be a little bit rusty early on, get hit with some big shots, get taken out. So I'm going to go with Yorgan, but, one of my least confident picks on the card here. In this next fight, we got a real interesting matchup. 2 strikers, Ignacio Bahamondes versus John Makdessi. And Bahamondes, he's the faster Ranger fighter. He has more weapons. He is coming off the contender series as well. He also had a nice front kick knockout. And he has a bit of a, weird record as well where he has some early losses. But he's been a pro since he was 18 years old. He's rounded out his game now a little bit better in my opinion. He's going to be the fighter pressuring in this fight most likely. Both guys like to stay at range. Obviously, John Makdessi, he's had a lot of fights in the UFC. He, has had some good performances, some bad performances. Seems a little bit gun-shy at this point. He's taken a lot of damage, had a broken jaw twice. So, his last fight against Francisco Trinaldo, he just didn't pull the trigger in that one. And, Bahamondes is going to be the more aggressive fighter here. He throws more volume. His footwork is good. He's super fluid. He switches stances. He can throw kicks from both stances. And Bahamondes throws very fast, long, straight punches. He has good counter hooks as well. Bahamondes has good head movement. And he has nice long uppercuts. He has good hand speed. He has excellent knees, good front kicks, round kicks. Landed that beautiful front kick to Edson Gomez. But his defense, is not very good. He doesn't really move his head very much. And John Makdessi, he's a Taekwondo striker, counter striker. He's going to be looking for his openings, darting in and out, and trying to, touch up Ignacio Bahamondes, maybe land that big kill shot. But Bahamondes looks like he's pretty durable. In this fight, he obviously is not going to have to worry about grappling. I don't think John Makdessi has 0 takedowns in his UFC career. He's had over 10 fights, so if he goes out there and takes him down, then that could be a path to victory for Makdessi, but don't really see that happening here. I think that on the feet, Makdessi has good counters, technical striking, nice 1-2s, good kicks. He has good spins himself. And, if he can get his rhythm here, get his confidence, start throwing in combination like he did in that fight with Ross Pearson, maybe he could get something put together. But I feel like, he's kind of shop-worn at this point. He's taking a lot of damage. When he sees someone on the other side of him that's throwing heat, that's, fast, that's moving, that's looking to counter, I think he kind of, doesn't just accept defeat, but doesn't want to throw as much. He's kind of weary about getting knocked out, getting hurt, and lets the fight slip through his fingers. So I think that's going to happen again here, and I think Bahamondes is going to be able to pick up the victory. This next fight, in my opinion, is a tough fight to call here, with Norma Dumont taking on Erin Blanchfield. And Norma Dumont, she's looking to make it back-to-back wins in the UFC. She had a good showing her last time out. She dominated a tough veteran in Ashley Evans Smith. She didn't miss weight for that fight. She weighed in 139.5 pounds. And that's worth noting because her first fight was at featherweight. And in this fight, she's taking on a girl in Erin Blanchfield, who's typically a flyweight, so I do believe she's going to be significantly bigger. It's still hard to really get a good read on Dumont, in my opinion. She looked good against Ashley Evans-Smith, but Ashley Evans-Smith kind of looked pretty terrible. And Dumont on the feet, she's a good mover. She holds her hands low. She's light on her feet. She bounces in and out of range. And she doesn't really have a lot of variation in her boxing combos. She really looks for that left hook, straight right, left hook, overhand right combos. She will throw some longer combinations if she can get you backed up against the fence. She'll throw some, hooks, uppercuts. And she did drop Ashley Evans-Smith with the uppercut late in their fight. She stung Ashley Evans-Smith with a couple left hooks. And she has some pop in her punches, you could tell. She throws some pretty nice kicks as well. She'll throw nice leg kicks, body kicks, head kicks. So pretty fluid. I think she's a Sanda striker. She struggled a little bit, though, with the pressure of Megan Anderson. She eventually got caught with that cross, got put out. So don't know if she has a weak chin or not. But either way, I mean, she got knocked out with the one punch. So that's a little bit suspect in my opinion. But she's a solid grappler. She's a black or brown belt in jiu-jitsu. She likes to look to get late round takedowns to steal rounds. It doesn't seem like she's a super active grappler. But she will look to close the distance, grind against the cage. And, if she isn't feeling, or if she isn't liking what she's feeling at range, she will look to close that distance and get the fight to the mat. And she was able to dominate Ashley Evans-Smith on the ground. She reversed a head and arm throw of Smith, ended up on top, really did some good work. She wants to take the back. Both of her finishes are rear naked chokes. So I've not really seen Dumont work off of her back, though. She's not a bad fighter. Her cardio looked pretty good her last fight. But she's going to be taking on one of the best prospects in women's MMA in Erin Blanchfield, who's 6-1. She's taking on girls like Brogdon Walker-Sanchez, like Victoria Leonardo, like Kay Hansen, and even her fight with Tracy Cortez. I mean, if you watch that fight, I feel like she definitely won that fight. So she could be 7-0 with 3 wins over current UFC fighters right now. In Blanchfield, she was in line for that Invicta flyweight title fight. But she's going to make her UFC debut instead. I mean, she's only 21 years old. Definitely has a future ahead of her. But she's in for a tough task here. I mean, she's fighting a woman who's 10 years older than her, who's in her prime. She's going up a weight class. She's taking this fight on very short notice. So if she can get a win here, I mean, that would just put further validation that she's a special prospect. She's one of the best prospects in MMA. And as a striker, I mean, she's improving. She isn't a great athlete, but she's very technical. Good jab. She'll feint her way in or to throw a double jab. She has a good straight right hand. She's good at landing that straight right, closing distance, landing from short hooks behind it. Good left hook, straight right hand combo. She has loose, fast hands. In the pocket, she has pretty good head movement, feint, shot selection. Good low kicks, good body kicks. She was able to land several head kicks against Victoria Leonardo, eventually knocked her out with it. So she's good at hiding the head kicks behind her crosses or her jab, and definitely has a nice head kick. And, Blanchfield, as far as her striking goes, she's definitely improved it a lot, but she's a grinder. She's a relentless grappler, super tough. She has a good low single. She has several finishes she can go to in the open mat with that takedown. She also likes getting on the single, drive fighters to the cage, chain wrestle, good singles, doubles off the cage. And when she gets on top, she's very aggressive. She's a great guard passer, good pressure, good ground and pound. She, has good takedown defense as well. She's also aggressive in terms of jumping on submissions. She doesn't really mind being on her back. She'll go for Kimuras. She'll go for, guillotines, standing guillotines, pull guard. And she's good at reversing position. Even when she does get taken down, she has good get-ups. And if she can't get up right away, she will attack off her back from her guard. She almost caught Tracy Cortez in an armbar. She actually, had Tracy Cortez basically in an armbar for the whole round, but couldn't extend the arm. Cortez was able to, stay tight. And, they gave the round to Cortez for just defending for basically 4 minutes, which I thought was a little bit peculiar. But, that was how she got her one loss. But this fight, man, it's just tough for me to pick because she's going to be at such a size disadvantage and she's taking the fight on short notice. I do believe, if she had a full camp for this one, there's still a lot of unknowns with Norma Dumont. I do think on the feet, Blanchfield has a little bit better boxing and she's a little bit looser. She could maybe pose some issues, especially if she can get her grappling going. But Norma, she showed she's a very good grappler in her last fight. I think she's going to be hard to take down. And I think that potentially she's going to be able to maybe, find some success with her striking, with her kicks because of her, height advantage. And maybe even, have success in some grappling exchanges. So I'm just going to go with the bigger girl that had the camp in Norma Dumont. But I'm actually more high on Erin Blanchfield in terms of a prospect. And I think she could pull it off, but it's a tough fight for her in her debut here. With this next fight, we got another fight that I'm really looking forward to with Scott Holtzman taking on Mateusz Gamrot. And Mateusz Gamrot, you could say he dropped the ball in his debut. He was 17-0, lost to Guram Kudateladze in a real close decision. But, I thought it was an excellent fight. I thought both guys performed very well, and you could have easily given Gamrot the victory. So, don't think it was a bad performance at all. And now he's back on the trail. He's looking to get a win over the always tough Scott Holtzman. And Scott Holtzman, he had a failed bid to jump in the top 15 once again in his last fight. Built up that 2-fight win streak. Went in there against Beneil Dariush and, got knocked out pretty badly. It was the first finish loss of his career. But Holtzman always delivers fun fights. He's a tough guy. And he's going to be taking on a real difficult matchup, though, with Mateusz Gamrot. Gamrot, as a striker, is proficient, but not that dangerous. And that's why, fighters are going to be able to potentially, have success if he can't get the takedowns. Because Gamrot has technical boxing. He works behind a nice jab. He puts some combinations behind that. He has some nice crosses. He'll mix the target up, go to the body. Decent kicks that you throw out there. Good feints. But he's just a pot shotter. He uses striking to touch his opponent, frustrate him, break the rhythm. Eventually look for that takedown. His single legs are nasty, man. He has excellent single leg takedowns, low single. He has great timing on his reactive double legs. And if he can't get the takedown in the open mat, he's really good at getting you against the cage. He uses his striking to cut the cage off. Once he gets you against the cage, he'll grind on you from there, look to chain wrestle. When he gets on top, he's super good with his top pressure, real heavy control. He has good submission game as well. Even if you put him on his back, he has good submissions. He'll, attack heel hooks. So he's definitely a real good grappler. He's an ADCC winner. He is a guy that has excellent cardio as well. And he picks up as the fight goes on. 5 rounds of, experience in a lot of his fights. So he's going to be really hard to beat because the guy is proficient technical striking, pot shotter, and he's never really puts himself in bad position in terms of has good fight IQ, good composure, technically sound on the feet. His striking is cut off the cage. He works his takedown game real well. When he gets on top, it's hard to get out from under him. Good submission game. Keeps the same pace for 3 or 5 rounds. So that's the type of fighter that you want to pick and you want to bet on. And he's going to be taking on a guy in Scott Holtzman, though, that is going to go in there. He's 37 years old at this point. So obviously I feel like he knows he's probably not going to be making, a run for the title or anything. But he's going to want to go in there and have some fun fights and potentially get some big-time wins, some upsets. And this is a fight that he's probably up for. He's fighting a former KSW champion, 17-1, super hyped. If he can get the win here, that's going to be one of the biggest wins, if not the biggest win of Scott Holtzman's career. And when you look at the, level of competition, Scott Holtzman's been in there with a lot of real good guys, a lot of tough guys, and he's pushed them. He's been in there with the Nick Lentzes. He's been in there with Josh Emmett, with Beneil Dariush, Jim Miller. So he has a lot of experience, fighting these higher level guys. And he's lost most of them, but he's won a couple of them, and he's been competitive. He's been 1-1 going into the third round in a lot of these fights. Holtzman, he has good striking. He's a good athlete. He moves well, and he likes to, attack that calf, inside-outside low kicks. He, has a good straight left hand. He is a southpaw, and, he'll throw those left hooks. He likes to throw that straight left hand, overhand right combination, and, he does a good job of countering with hooks. He's also, a pretty, decent power guy. So if he connects, he could hurt you. He doesn't have, one-shot power. He isn't really a super big knockout artist, but can put you out. If he gets on top, he does have some brutal ground and pound. He showed that against Alain Patrick. His takedown defense is pretty solid, but against a guy like Mateusz Gamrot, I feel like he might have good initial takedown defense, but when he gets put against the cage in a clinch, I don't think he's going to be able to, deny those takedowns. I think that, he's going to have a lot of cage grinding time that Mateusz Gamrot accumulates there by just not being able to get out of the clinch. You saw in his fight against Nick Lentz, he did get a little bit tired in that fight. And, Nick Lentz was able to control him against the cage, hit takedowns, mat returns. And I feel like Gamrot is just, a level above that in terms of at this point of Nick Lentz's career when Scott Holtzman fought him. I know that Scott Holtzman's a real tough, durable guy. But I think Mateusz Gamrot's going to be able to go in there and, have a dominant performance here. Get takedowns, control against the cage, dominant top control, ground and pound. I think that, even on the feet, he's going to have success with the, once he establishes the wrestling, landing the jab, the crosses, his kicks, keeping Scott Holtzman off balance. And I think he's going to look good. I think he's going to have the cardio. I think he's going to push hard for 3 rounds if he goes there. And I think he could even get a submission or a finish. So give me Mateusz Gamrot in this one. And to close out the prelims, we got a Grappler's Delight here with Jim Miller taking on Joe Solecki. And Joe Solecki, he's getting a chance to fight a guy that's a legend in Jim Miller. I mean, the most fights in UFC history, I believe, if after this one, or maybe Cerrone's ahead of him. But either way, he's up there. He was going to fight Bobby Green a couple weeks ago. They weighed in, everything happened. So that's something that I'm a little bit weary about because obviously with Jim Miller being an older guy, 2 weight cuts in like a few weeks, I don't think that's, a very good thing for him. But, he obviously is a veteran. He knows what he's doing. I don't think he would have taken this fight if he, didn't feel like he was going to be able to perform. In terms of this fight, though, I mean, it's going to be a grappler versus grappler type of fight in terms of Jim Miller, obviously, is a grappler. Usually wants to get takedowns, hit that submission. Almost all of his recent wins are first-round submissions. And Joe Solecki, obviously, is a very good credentialed grappler. Great crushing top game. He got that quick submission in his last fight. But I think, where Jim Miller at least has the best chance to win this fight is on the feet. I mean, Joe Solecki, he's getting better with his striking. He has nice compact hooks. He has good low kicks as well. And, decent movement. He obviously is a good athlete. He's the younger guy. He's going to be improving his striking. And he keeps everything tight. He tries to stay technical. But, I mean, man, sometimes when he's in the pocket, he could have his chin right in the air. Don't like the way he exchanges at times. So Jim Miller with that real nice straight left hand down the middle with those nasty calf kicks of his own, with the body kicks. He may be able to explode into a cross or two, maybe land on that chin of Joe Solecki, who we have seen Joe Solecki knocked out before. And I think that's, a better chance for Jim Miller to get the victory because in terms of submitting a guy like Joe Solecki, I think that's going to be real tough because I don't think he's going to be the guy on top. I think that, if you watch Jim Miller's fights, a lot of his recent fights, he's been able to get taken down in these later rounds, get grinded out, get tired, and lose because of cardio. And with Joe Solecki, he, has a great top game, real good grinding top pressure. And, we've seen guys like Scott Holtzman, like, Vince Pichel go in there and be able to implement that game plan. And I think Joe Solecki is just better than those guys in terms of his grappling, the way that he closes distance, gets the fights to the mat, and his control on top, his submission game. And I think another thing that helps is, obviously a lot of people know how Jim Miller fights at this point. It's not extremely hard to game plan for him, but Scott Holtzman most recently got a win over Jim Miller, pretty recently. And that's a guy that's a teammate of Joe Solecki, trains at Gym O. So obviously the coaches there have seen Jim Miller. They've defeated Jim Miller before. They, know the game plan, and I think Solecki is going to keep it tight early. He's obviously going to really respect Jim Miller's striking, but I think he's going to try to close that distance, get it to the ground. When he gets on top, I think he's going to be dominant. I think he's going to really wear on the gas tank of Jim Miller and, just be the better guy down the stretch. I even think he could maybe even submit Jim Miller, get a TKO finish. Or, I think he's going to get a decision win. So I'm going to go with Joe Solecki. I do think Jim Miller, like always, is live for that finish in the first round. He could even submit Joe Solecki, even though I said it's unlikely. It's Jim Miller, man. He's a wily veteran that's, super game, super dangerous. But going to take Joe Solecki to, get past this test in this one. And, man, we got a banger to kick off this main card. Mike Perry taking on Daniel Rodriguez. And this is a fight that I want to come back to on Friday and kind of talk about again because, I listened to Mike Perry's interview today and, I don't know if I'm drinking the Kool-Aid or something, but, he seems a lot more centered. He seems a lot more composed. Seems like, having a son, getting a baby in his life has kind of, rediscovered a little bit of a fire for him for the sport. But I do want to see, him make weight and look good on the scale on Friday. So that's something that's going to be a big thing for me in terms of this fight. But another thing that I like, he went to MMA Masters and, some people don't like that gym, but obviously I think it's, better than Fusion XL where he was out before, and a lot better than his most recent fights where he wasn't training with anyone at all. And I do think that obviously Mike Perry, he's lost 3 of his last 4 fights. He missed weight by a lot in his last fight. I know a lot of people were saying last time, that he had his back against the wall, he needed to win, but he's still coming off a victory. So this one, I think he really needs to win. If he loses this fight, he might get cut, man. So this is a super important fight for him. I think he's going to be, making weight, looking better, hopefully. But he's going to be taking on a guy that doesn't have those type of questions in Daniel Rodriguez. It's a guy that is going to be motivated coming off a controversial loss that a lot of people thought he won. And this is the biggest fight of his career in Mike Perry. This is a big opportunity for Daniel Rodriguez. So, he doesn't have those same motivation questions. He's going to come in shape, ready to go 3 hard rounds, and he's going to, fight to his capabilities. So, that's something that Daniel Rodriguez has, that you can look at that Mike Perry, maybe you could question that a little bit. And as far as the fight goes, obviously Daniel Rodriguez, has pretty technical boxing. He has a good jab. He tries to move around, pot shot, land some nice, boxing combinations. And he has big power when he connects hard, when he sits down on his right hand. So, he has good hooks as well, like counter right hooks, counter left hooks. So he hits these check hook counters. So he needs to kind of, in my opinion, use that jab, use movement, use sharp counters, you get his takedown defense on point, don't get taken down, and don't get drawn into a brawl, composure. Because, if he brawls with Mike Perry, that's given Mike Perry, the best opportunity to win. And Mike Perry, say what you want about the guy, but the guy is super tough, man, super durable. He always comes to fight. Even when he's out of shape, like his last fight with Tim Means, the 3rd round, he's out there, throwing bungalows, man, going to war, and it's he's almost getting the guy out of there. So Perry's dangerous. He's going to be the better athlete, more explosive, faster. And Daniel Rodriguez, in my opinion, he had that great fight against Gabriel Green where he threw a lot of volume out there and was able to land a lot of combinations, land some big punches, and kind of go to war. And with Tim Means, he also stunned Tim Means at the end of the 1st round and was able to catch him in that 2nd round with the guillotine. But, watch his last fight with Nicholas Dalby. I watched that, fight that he had in the Contender Series, and even the 1st round with Tim Means, this early part of the 2nd round with Tim Means, he does kind of do a lot of moving backwards. He throws that jab and, kind of pulls it out there. I don't feel like he's the best athlete. Tim Means was able to take him down real early, pretty easily with the double leg, and Nicholas Dalby had a lot of success closing that gap, controlling him against the cage with those double unders, and Mike Perry's grappling has only been getting better, man. He's been able to hit these takedowns, almost submitted Tim Means in the 1st round, and if he comes in here in better shape, better cardio, I think he's going to be able to close that gap, get Daniel Rodriguez in the clinch, double unders, manhandle him. I think he's going to be the stronger guy. On top, I think he's going to be able to control and some big shots. So in terms of the grappling, I definitely got to favor Mike Perry by a lot. And the striking, I do think Daniel Rodriguez is more technical, and he's going to look for the counters, he's going to look for the jab, and if he can keep it, a technical boxing match, he's going to have an advantage there. But Mike Perry is going to be closing that distance, throwing wild punches. Daniel Rodriguez is a guy that's not like a mover. He doesn't really, he has decent movement, and like I said, he uses the jab and all that, but he's a Mexican too, man. He likes to sit down on his punches, go to war, stay in the pocket. And, I think that Mike Perry's going to play with his ego a little bit, walk him down, try to throw these longer shots, try to get into longer combinations is what I mean, kind of. And, I think he's going to have the more firepower in those exchanges. But ultimately, I hope he wins with the grappling. So, I've actually been fading Mike Perry a lot. I've picked a lot of his fights correct, actually. And this one, I'm going to go with Mike Perry, man. I think he's going to be able to use the grappling and get the win. I think he's going to come in better shape. He's going to be able to fight for 3 rounds, not get tired like the Means fight. And, Yeah, I think that his striking is going to be a little bit sharper, especially if he's been sparring at, fighting with pro fighters for the camp. So, Friday's going to tell a lot for me if he makes weight, if he looks good. So I'm going to go with Mike Perry for now. Could change the pick, but right now I'm going to go with Mike Perry to get the win. And up next year, we got a fight that's pretty controversial. I mean, I've heard a lot of opinions on both sides, a lot of people that are super confident. And, Nina Ansaroff, she's making a return. A lot of red flags to me. I mean, she had a baby 6 months ago. That's, not that long of, recovery time. In 6 months, I mean, I don't know if she was training those 9 months that she was pregnant. I don't know how much she was training right after, but that seems like a real short turnaround in my opinion. She's 35 years old. That's another thing. So it's not like she's a young woman that just had a baby and is coming back. She's 35 years old, 2 years away, coming off of a loss as well. So it's not like she's coming off a victory. And, it's against a top-notch fighter in Tatiana Suarez. And, I see a lot of people giving her a lot of credit for that fight. She looked good. She did a good job. But, she was controlled for 8 of the 10 minutes of the first 2 rounds. So I don't think you can get that crazy about it. She got dominated the first 2 rounds. And, the third round, she had a little bit of a comeback. And I don't think, she ever really hurt Tatiana that bad. Or I don't think it was, I think she was saying in an interview she would have finished it in a minute. I don't think she was ever close to getting the finish, anything like that. But, she was coming on strong, you could say. She showed good cardio. But she's going to be taking on a girl in Mackenzie Dern that, she had the same thing where she came back from that pregnancy real quick, took the loss to Amanda Hebos, but she's 28 years old. She's much younger. She had a perfect 3-0 2020, so she's someone that looked really good, and you could see that she's taken her career, her fights way more serious, man. Look at her body from when she entered the UFC to now. She's physically in much better shape. She's implemented a strength and conditioning program. You could see that her striking has really improved with Jason Perillo. She's still a little bit wild, but throws a lot straighter punches. She's obviously a great athlete. She throws hard. She throws in combination, fast hands. And I feel like, a lot of people disrespect Mackenzie Dern's striking, man. She entered the UFC. She's not an old girl, man. She was like 24 or 25 years old. And she's already established herself as arguably the best, female jiu-jitsu player of all time. So now that, she's getting more, established coaches working with her with their striking. She's had more years, more time in the octagon. You don't think a girl of that acumen, that level of, athlete is going to improve, man. She's obviously shown that she's improved her striking, and I think it's only going to continue to get exponentially better. And the thing about Mackenzie Dern that I like to see, she hits hard for that division. I don't think anyone could say that Nina has the power advantage in her hands, at least. And Mackenzie Dern, she has a great chin, and she's willing to take damage and come forward. She has good cardio as well, which is something that was a little bit of a question mark early in her career. Like I said, when she had, a little bit more flab, wasn't, cut up in better shape. Now I think she proved that she can go hard for 3 rounds. She dominated that third round against Virna Jandiroba, and I feel like that was the best her striking ever looked. You could say it was against a girl that's a non-striker, but she's still throwing straighter punches. She's throwing in combination. She's walking the girl down. She's aggressive. She obviously has more faith in her punches and her, her stand-up now overall. And with Nina Ansaroff, she's obviously the better striker, but Nina Ansaroff, she has that Dutch Muay Thai style. She stands, pretty flat-footed in front of you. She likes to walk you down. She's aggressive. She throws real nice 1-2s. She's loose. She has real nice kicks as well. I feel like a lot of her kicks are going to be holstered in this fight. She may try to go with low kicks, but I don't think she's going to be throwing any body kicks, head kicks in this one. She doesn't want to get put on her back. Nina, she has real good takedown defense, initial takedown defense, good takedown defense against the cage. And she's someone that, she has good cardio as well. Like I said, she can stuff takedowns. She can get taken down and come back. She's shown that against Claudia Gadelha, where she got taken down, lost that first round, even got taken down in the second round, and, was able to win the second round in the third round on activity. But Ansaroff, her defense on the feet, not very good, man. I mean, she doesn't move her head. So I think Mackenzie Dern's going to have a lot more success striking than a lot of people think. I think that she's going to be the one going forward. I mean, Nina, like I said, she likes to pressure. She has that Dutch Muay Thai kind of style where, flat-footed, comes forward, doesn't really move her head, likes to get into brawls, kind of like a tough man competition, but she's technical with it, and she can move backwards. She could flow a little bit, and she has decent footwork. She's improved that aspect of her game. Obviously, she's been fighting more grapplers, so she's had to be on the back foot more. But, I still feel like when she's in that position, when she's striking even backwards, it mitigates her power, and she doesn't have good defense, like I said. So I think Dern is going to be able to come forward, land some hard shots, big punches. I think that, she's going to have to grapple a lot more in this fight, like control against the cage, try to even pull guard, create scrambles with her big punches. Her flurry is closing the distance, and Ansaroff, I mean, I'm just more worried about, everything I said in the beginning, man. I mean, how can you guys be confident that she's going to have good cardio in the third round of a high-paced fight 6 months off of pregnancy at 35 years old? I mean, I can't be confident in that. I know Mackenzie Dern is going to push a high pace. She's talking about fighting for the title. She obviously is very, very motivated. She's proven that she can get to the top of another sport. She's younger. She won 3 fights in a row in 2020. I know Ansaroff, I mean, she showed good takedown defense against Tatiana Suarez and, was able to win the third round. But even in that fight, I mean, Suarez had success on the feet. I mean, she was landing some punches. Claudia Gadelha had a lot of success on the feet. She just gassed out, got tired. She got takedowns in the first and the second round. And it's going to be a different ball game if you get taken down by Mackenzie Dern, man. It's not like getting taken down by Tatiana Suarez, even though Suarez is a high-level grappler, wrestler. You're going to get submitted, man. If Mackenzie Dern takes you down with 2-3 minutes to work in the fight, it's going to be over for Ansaroff, and that's very dangerous because she could finish it too even if she pulls guard, like in the Randa Marcos fight. So I think, Mackenzie's a lot more dangerous. I don't think Nina has big power in terms of the power to keep Mackenzie Dern off of her with the pressure. I think Mackenzie actually has the, more firepower on the feet, obviously way more dangerous on the ground. In terms of getting into the ground, I do think that's going to be tough. But, man, like I said, I question the cardio in this fight. I think that it might come down to that third round, and I think that Mackenzie Dern might take that third round. So I'm going to go with Mackenzie Dern here. I think that, she's improved her striking. She's going to be the one going forward in this fight. I think Ansaroff is going to get tired moving backwards. I think that if it goes to the ground, it could be checkmate right away. And I do feel like, Ansaroff's going to get hit with some big shots. She's going to be constantly moving backwards. And I think some people maybe could think she won the fight. But I think Dern's going to throw, match her with the volume. Unlike these other girls that kind of tailed off a little bit like Gadelha. I think she's going to match her with the volume, even if it's kind of ugly. And I think she's going to be able to land the bigger shots. So I'm going to go with Mackenzie Dern. I think that, she has a lot of advantages here. And she's going to be able to, prove these people wrong once again. A lot of people have been picking against her over and over. And I think that they kind of, see that striking, how ugly it is, and they just don't realize that, in my opinion, the females division, just being tough, powerful, big, and being willing to take damage, close the gap, and give damage is, a big thing. So I'm going to go with Mackenzie Dern. In this next matchup, we got another real interesting fight with Sam Alvey making the drop back down to 185 pounds, taking on Julian Marquez. And man, I mean, right away, I think that you just jumps out at you on the screen right here if you're looking at it. I mean, last 5 fights for Sam Alvey, he hasn't been able to get one win, man. I mean, he finally changed the tide a little bit. He got a draw in his last fight. In my opinion, I feel like he won that fight. I picked him to win that fight. He was a huge underdog against Jung, and I thought he got the job done. I thought he won the first 2 rounds, and the third round was a 10-9, but, one judge gave it a 10-8 third round and gave the fight a draw. So Sam Alvey, couldn't quite get the victory. But now, I mean, he's making a drop down to 185 pounds. He knows that, this is his last chance. He has to get the win or he's going to be cut. It's not like he's that old of a guy. He's only 34 years old, so has a lot left in the tank, in my opinion. He looked good in his last fight. And he's taking on a guy in Julian Marquez who made a comeback in his last fight, literally in the cage, and, a layoff comeback where he came from a long time off. But in the cage, I mean, he was down 2-0 and was able to get in that third round, showed he really wanted it, got the finish via submission. So, always shows that he's dangerous for all 3 rounds. But man, this fight should be a banger. I mean, we got Julian Marquez, who comes forward, swings hammers, isn't really a technical guy, but, is just willing to take damage, to give damage, get in the pocket, trade with you. He has good kicks, he has good attacks off the break, and just as a rough, rugged guy, man. I mean, he brings the pressure, brings the durability, and he brings the, big power in his hands. So if he lands, he could put you down. Lands a kick, he could put you down. His, defensive grappling, though, is horrendous. I mean, the guy gets taken down by everyone that he fights, even strikers. I mean, we saw Maki Pitolo take the guy down. We saw Darren Stewart. I mean, watch the first round of Julian Marquez versus Darren Stewart. I mean, he's making Darren Stewart look like he's Khabib Nurmagomedov, man. I mean, the guy's taking his back. He's taking him down 3-4 times. And, Darren Stewart's a British striker, man. So that's not good to see. I mean, Marquez, not a good grappler, dude. He's a good grappler. He has good submissions, and obviously he will sweep. He keeps the same pace, and eventually when guys get tired in the grappling realm, he could submit you like he did Pitolo. So he's a good grappler, but he's just not a good wrestler. That's the thing. And Sam Alvey, I mean, this is a guy that's you kind of know what you got with Sam Alvey at this point. Maybe you'll pull out some wrestling. I heard him today say his wrestling has never been better. And, stranger things have happened. I mean, anyone could take down Julian Marquez, in my opinion. So, Sam Alvey going in there, shooting a double leg in a takedown. Might be able to see it on Saturday, 2021. But this fight stays on the feet. I mean, you know what you're going to get out of Sam Alvey. You're going to get the southpaw look. He's going to have that straight left hand that he throws that's super powerful. I mean, if he lands that clean, he can knock out or hurt anybody. And he throws that right hook over the top over and over and over. I mean, that right hook is a shit, man. I mean, if he lands that right hook clean on you, you're going to be in Queer Street, man, or you're going to be out. So, I mean, he definitely, is a tricky striker, counter striker, low volume. And he kind of tends to keep his back against the cage, look for those counter kill shots, so he makes opponents kind of weary to throw. But his last fight, man, I will say, I mean, he was doing a good job of, he had his opponent kind of nervous to throw up because of the counters, but he was going first more often. He was throwing these shovel uppercuts. He was landing that lead right hook. He was landing his, low calf kicks, and he was showing, good ability to land, get out of range, and get out. He was hurting Jung. In that third round, though, I mean, he did show some heart, but he got hurt multiple times with that right elbow, got dropped. And, he's a super durable guy. I mean, he's very hard to put away. And I think he's going to have, a lot of motivation to get the victory here, obviously. So he's not going to just go down easily. I mean, you're going to have to knock him out cold. But, you could question his durability a little bit. But, man, as far as this fight goes, I mean, Marquez is going to come in here. He's going to bring the action. He's going to bring the forward pressure. He's going to try to engage in a war. And Sam Alvey just has to try to touch him up. Keep it technical, use his low kicks, use that check right hook, use that straight left hand, land on Julian Marquez, land hard, counter him. Don't get in the extended exchanges with the guy, because I feel like if they just brawl, Marquez might be the bigger, not bigger, I think Alvey's going to be bigger, but he might be the more durable, powerful guy, even though both guys have huge power in their hands. I mean, it's hard to say. But, Marquez has never been finished before, so that's something that at least, he could say that Sam Alvey can't. And, I think that Sam is going to be the more technical striker, though. He's going to be able to land his counters. He's going to be able to land that calf kick. He's going to be able to, land shots and get in and out of range, I think, a little bit better than Marquez. Even if he stays on the, back of the cage, I think he's going to be able to shoot with his uppercuts, with his, left straights, with his right hooks, land, and, keep Marquez off balance, not let him, get comfortable pressuring him. And if he can wrestle here, if he can actually do something different, hit a takedown, get on top, then, man, I mean, that could go a big way towards him getting the victory in this one. Another thing he needs to have here is just cardio. He has to be ready for that third round to be tough, grueling. If Marquez is going in there really, throwing big bombs, trying to hit a submission, he has to be ready to be tough, not get finished in that third round if he's up 2. But I'm actually going to go with Sam Alvey again. I think that he's a little bit undervalued in this spot. I think that he's going to be able to use his counters to keep Julian Marquez honest with the pressure on the feet. outstrike him, be a little bit more technical. He's very hard to take down, and then, like I said, if he can actually implement some wrestling, which, I mean, it's doubtful, but he did talk about it, he, might be able to get the victory there. And I do think that Alvey is a lot, no offense to Maki Pitolo, but I think he's a lot tougher guy than Maki Pitolo. Has a lot more heart, and, he's not going to get tired and fold like that. Even if he's completely gassed, he's going to, fight to the bitter end. So give me Sam Alvey in this one. It's a close, contested type fight, but I think Alvey is going to be able to use his veteran savvy, his technical prowess on the feet, and just outmaneuver Julian Marquez here. And we're moving on to the co-main event here. This is an amazing fight, man. Two super prospects with Sodiq Yusuff versus Arnold Allen. Undefeated guys in the UFC. Arnold Allen 7-0. Sodiq 4-0. And man, I mean, Arnold Allen, if you look at his record, he's obviously fought a lot of cupcake competition. But he also has some good wins in there. I mean, he's beaten Makwan Amirkhani. He's beaten Mads Burnell. So he's picked up some good victories along the way. And Sodiq Yusuff, he's, fought some tough guys. Mike Davis, he fought Andre Fili, he fought Gabriel Mowgli Benitez, and, he's been able to perform well against anyone that he's been in the octagon with. Shaman Morais, he did very well against as well. So Sodiq has, in my opinion, seen the better level of competition. And this is going to be an interesting fight, though, because it's a clash of styles. I mean, Arnold Allen, he usually he's the longer, rangier guy for the division. In this fight, he's going to be a little bit shorter, have a little bit lesser reach. So we're going to see how he deals with that. But he's southpaw, and we did see that southpaw look give a little bit of trouble to Sodiq Yusuff in the third round against Andre Fili. And a great movement, real good, sharp, striking, throws long punches, real nice kicks. Never, is a stationary target, always giving different angles. He could switch stances. He does throw a lot of one-shot attacks, like sometimes he can get, stuck throwing, only one cross, only one kick. But when he puts his combinations together, starts going body-head, he can be a, tough guy to deal with, look very good. He's super fast, super athletic, super technical. He keeps it flowy. But, you do see sometimes where in exchanges, he doesn't really move his head a lot. He is a little bit heavy on that lead foot as well at times. So there's certain things that you can't take advantage of. I have seen him kind of hit in some exchanges against guys, get a little bit hurt. Mads Burnell kind of had him off balance with, feinting the level changes and using his boxing. But overall, Arnold Allen's a very difficult look on the feet for a lot of guys. he switches stances. Mostly it's from that southpaw, which already is kind of troubling for a lot of guys. Long, rangy, fast. Throws, nice combinations when he gets his groove going. Goes body head, switches the target up. Very sharp. So he's a guy that's a very good prospect. But he's going to be taking on Sodiq Yusuff, who, man, Sodiq Yusuff is super fast, super explosive in his own right. A little bit more, he doesn't have as much movement. He's not as dynamic, in my opinion, but has the basics on lock, man. Real good 1-2, counter hooks in the pocket. He does wing a little bit, get a little bit wild, and you'll throw some big overhands, try to close the gap, wing big hooks in the pocket, and try to take you out. But he has crazy power, cracking power. When the guy lands, he can knock you out cold. He it's real heavy calf kicks, nice body kicks, and stays very composed. Even when he gets hurt, he gets right back in the fire and is very, very durable. I feel like if these guys exchange, it's going to be Sodiq Yusuff all day getting that one done. I think you'll be able to knock him out, but Allen's obviously going to be making it difficult, moving, giving different angles, trying to keep Sodiq Yusuff off balance by pot-shotting him from the outside. And, Sodiq Yusuff, I think, can go a long way in this fight. And with Arnold Allen, he's shown very good takedown defense. And obviously he's shown opportunistic submission game, good front chokes. But, we've seen in multiple fights where he has struggled. He's gotten taken down, controlled on top. And I think that Sodiq Yusuff has a very underrated grappling game. He comes out of a grappling gym. And, you saw in that fight with Andre Fili, when he was able to get on top, the guy is super, super heavy on top. Crushing top game, big ground and pound, good passing ability, really is a good job, moving from the mount to the back. He has not really a great submission threat, but big ground and pound will finish you from that position, gets you tired with the ground and pound. And if you can get Arnold Allen to the mat an established position. I don't see Arnold Allen being able to work back up to his feet. If, he can close that gap and force Arnold Allen to exchange, I think he's going to win those exchanges. It's just, if he can close the distance and, corral Arnold Allen, who's going to be looking to be moving around the octagon, landing and moving, not allowing Sodiq Yusuff to get his rhythm. Maybe, I don't know if he's going to try to grapple himself. I highly doubt it, but, maybe just mixing in some level changes, maybe like some clinch work, landing the elbow, disengaging, trying to give Sodiq just something else to look at. But ultimately, I just feel like, Arnold Allen, he hasn't fought a striker at this level of Sodiq. I think Sodiq is going to be able to give him a lot more problems when he closes the gap. I think he's going to be faster than these guys that he's been fighting, hit harder, and maybe give Arnold Allen a little bit of cause to pause to close that gap. And I think once Sodiq has him on the back foot a little bit more, that's when he's going to be able to start to do a little bit better on the feet. And if he can get takedowns, I think that he's going to be dominant in that realm. So I'm actually going to go with Sodiq Yusuff. I think that, the third round, he does tend to slow down, so that could be Arnold Allen's best path to victory. Take it late, then eventually try to find a finish there. But I think Sodiq Yusuff, he's a very, very tough guy to take out, and I think that he's only getting better. Both guys are very young, but I just feel like Sodiq is, I feel like Sodiq is championship material potentially. Arnold Allen might be right there, but I just have more faith that Sodiq Yusuff as the prospect, and I'm going to go with Sodiq. And finally in the main event here, we have Marvin Vettori taking on Kevin Holland. Switch up here is obviously going to be Marvin taking on Dern Till. But now, it's Kevin Holland stepping up again, man. You got to give some credit to this motherfucker, dude. This guy's a bad motherfucker, man. I mean, whatever you want to say about him, he, maybe obviously had a kind of weird performance his last fight. Maybe you don't like the antics, you don't like the trash talk, but he steps up when you have to step up. I mean, this guy just fought a 5-round fight, man. I mean, he just had a tough, grueling fight. He lost the fight. He got out-grappled by a guy that, took him down, dominated him, and now he's coming right back in against another guy that's going to be looking to do the same thing. And he's still willing to step up, accept the fight. Horrible matchup for him. And, he's game to do it. So, man, I mean, you got to give respect to the guy. The guy's, he's a legend, man. I mean, you could say he's maybe not excelling to the top of his capabilities, but the guy's 28 years old. Who knows what he's going to be in the future? But right now, I mean, he's going to have 10 fights in less than 2 years, man. I mean, come on. Eventually, you got to start to give the guy some credit for stepping up all these times. He's a gangster, man. I mean, all the props in the world to Kevin Holland here, but I don't know if it's going to be a good night for him against Marvin Vettori. We got a guy in Marvin who, has perennially kind of been overlooked in the division, but he finally got in there, got a big fight against Jack Hermanson, took him out, and, won a real dominant decision in there. It was a great fight, and, he kind of cemented himself like, I'm here, I'm a top guy, and it's unfortunate that he's not getting to fight Dern Till, because that would have been a lot more clear in terms of if he won that fight dominantly, he probably would have been in line for a title shot. Now against Kevin Holland, I mean, even if he wins in a dominant fashion, a little bit left to be desired in terms of maybe getting a title shot. Maybe you have to do one more, but, it's still a potential possibility. If he gets the win here, he's obviously going to be on a 5-fight win streak and has looked really good lately. And as far as the fight goes, I mean, I do think Kevin Holland's going to come in here and I don't know if he's going to have necessarily a better performance because it's a tough matchup. I mean, I don't think you can improve your takedown defense overnight like that, but he's going to be sharper, in my opinion, more locked in. I think that he's going to, really try to perform at his optimal. But, man, I mean, this is a tough fight for him. I mean, Kevin Holland, we just saw him, get out-grappled very easily by Derek Brunson, get taken down. And I do think, Brunson's a better wrestler. He's more athletic than Marvin. So he probably was able to close that gap and get the takedowns easier than Marvin will be able to do. But when Marvin gets it to the ground, man, he's not going to be that nice. He's not going to be just laying and praying on him. He's going to be looking for big ground and pound, looking for submissions, making Kevin Holland work, and, be much more dangerous when the fight hits the mat. Almost all of Marvin's wins are via submission. And Marvin, he's really rounded out his striking. He's became a very proficient boxer, forward pressure, good low calf kicks, and he's still a hittable guy, but super durable. No one's been able to finish him yet. And Kevin Holland, I mean, he's super kind of rangy, kind of wild, throws crazy techniques, a little bit unorthodox. So you always have to be wary. I mean, the fight starts standing for 5 rounds in a row. So, I mean, Holland's going to have that straight right hand. He's going to have, his elbows, his shots off of his back, his submission game. And he's a dangerous guy. I mean, he has a lot of tools. He's athletic. He's rangy. He's going to have a big reach advantage. So, I mean, if he can keep, Marvin on the outside, stay technical with the boxing, kind of, quit with the fluff, with the kicks, with the turning his back, with the, allowing guys to get on the inside so easily because he has poor footwork, then maybe he could be in business. But, I mean, I don't think that's going to be corrected overnight. I think Marvin's going to be able to use his pressure boxing, get on the inside of Holland, his kind of crazy movement, footwork, and unorthodox kicks, techniques, and I think once he gets on the inside, he's going to have a boxing edge. He's going to be able to land some big shots on the feet. Once he does that, I think he's going to level change, hit the takedown, and dominate on top. And, like I said, I don't think this is like the Derek Brunson fight. I don't think it's someone that's going to lay and pray, that's going to, ride it out. I mean, Brunson landed a lot of shots. It wasn't pure lay and pray. But what I'm saying, I mean, there's a lot better chance that Marvin gets to finish over 5 rounds. And also, Holland just took a lot of damage, man. I mean, he had a 5-round fight. He took damage regardless. I mean, took some big shots, took some ground and pound shots. He's not going to be 100% in there. And obviously, he didn't have a full camp for this fight. He didn't have any time to, fix that grappling defense. And I think that Marvin is going to be able to, like I said, close the gap, get the takedowns. And I actually think he's going to finish Kevin Holland with a submission in this one. I think that he's going to be able to get him out of there, get him tired, and submit him. So, I think it's a really difficult matchup. It's props to Kevin Holland for stepping in on short notice, but I think Marvin Vettori is going to be able to get the job done in probably pretty dominant fashion, too. So there you have it, guys. That's a breakdown for UFC on ABC2, Vettori versus Holland. For the parlay of the week this week, it's going to be Mateusz, Gamrot, and Joe Solecki. For my most confident pick of the week, I'm going to go with Ignacio Bahamondes. And for the underdog of the week this week, I have quite a few underdogs, so you guys could just check out the lines and see the picks that I gave, and take the one that you're most comfortable with. But I got quite a few underdogs winning on this card. I think there's a lot of live underdogs here. So thanks for watching, guys. Like I said at the top of the video, if you're interested on the Patreon tomorrow, I will be dropping the full card prediction breakdown video and betting tips, a couple bets for you for Bellator 256. It's a pretty good card. It's Lyoto Machida taking on Ryan Bader. There's quite a few, lines up there. So full fight card that we're going to be breaking down over there if you want to check it out. Like I said, the link will be in the description and, in the comments below. And I want to get to 300 likes on this video. So if we could do that, that would be amazing, man. And should be a great card. And hopefully we do well. So thanks for watching, guys. Tell me what you think about, all the picks that I haven't. Okay, I forgot about this. My bad. Another thing that I want to do is, for next week, I am going to be giving out a free $20 parlay for that Whitaker versus Gastelum card. All you need to do to, be involved in that or be potentially getting that free parlay, or I could do it like this. I could either give you the $20 or, give you I'm going to do a nice little shout out video on my channel, go place the bet for you and, you could, potentially get the earnings of the bet that you do. So either way you want to do it, it's up to you guys, but it's going to be a $20 winning. All you have to do is, hit the like button and put down in the comments below, how you think Marvin Vettori is going to win, which round, and how many significant, or how you think Marvin Vettori or Kevin Holland is going to win, either guy you think is going to win in the main event, and, which round and, or a decision, and how many significant strikes you think will be landed in the fight. And put that in the comments. And if you're subscribed, you like the channel or you like the video, then, if you're the closest in terms of who you think is going to win in significant strikes, you're going to be, the guy that's going to be either getting that parlay or the $20. So make sure to put your comment down below to be involved in that. And make sure to hit the like button to try to get this video to 300. So thanks for watching, guys, once again, and I'll talk to you guys later.